Hello and welcome to Off the Shelf Reviews.
I've got cravings.
And I'm Gary. And today we're going to review and discuss Hemoglobin, which released in 1997. Based on Lurking Fear by H.P. Lovecraft, with writers Charles Adair, Dan O'Bannon and Ronald Shusett, and directed by Peter Svatek. Ian, why don't you give us the synopsis?
Well, the story follows John Strauss, played by Roy Dupuis. He's heading to an island with his wife Kathleen to uncover his history. It turns out that John grew up in France but was born on this island and might be connected to the Van Damme family that live on this island. History tells us that the Van Dammes came from Holland, settled on this island, and have had incestuous sex for centuries. And there might be some little weird creatures running around the island eating people.
Over there, some light. Open the window. Need the candle.
So this is known as Bleeders in the US.
Yeah.
But for the rest of us, it was known as Hemoglobin. And the only difference between the two films is that the American one is about a minute shorter, and that's because they removed all of the nudity.
Oh, there's a lot, yeah.
There's a fair amount in the film, yeah, well, about a minute's worth, I
Yeah.
suppose, that they cut out. But this is the film that I remember seeing the poster for it and seeing the creatures on the front.
Really, yeah.
But never actually got to see this film.
No.
And then when the opportunity did arise to see this film, I saw all of the avalanche of negative reviews. It was like, even if you're a B-movie horror fan and you love Rutger Hauer, stay away from this film.
Yeah.
And I have until now.
Yeah. I had never heard of this film. I don't even think I saw posters of it in the video store.
Well, the VHS, I'm pretty sure it had like a plastic cover on side,
Right.
and it had like fake blood that you could squidge around the cover of the VHS.
Oh, I might have seen.
It really stood out.
Yeah, not like this film. No. This film starts off really weird. Like, we were quite excited because as soon as we saw Rutger Hauer was in it, it was like, oh my god! But the fact that when we looked on IMDb and Wikipedia, like, he's not even the main credit. Like,
No.
Like, he's like halfway down the list, and it's like, ooh, like your top star is halfway down the list. That doesn't say a lot for your film. I mean,
Well, sometimes they do just list them alphabetically or in order of appearance, and so
I would have just stuck him like on the
First.
Yeah, first. Be like, this got Rutger Hauer in it. Watch it. Like was it that split second where he was the cop and he was fighting the alien with the weird white helmet? That's great. This is not. I mean, you think it starts fine because you start to hear that in 1652, the King of Holland banned incestuous sex amongst his nobles. He realized that actually with all these rich elite families having sex with their cousins or sisters or wives, that they were actually making like blood diseases within their families. So he outright banned them. And then you had the Van Damme family led by Eva Van Damme, who's this really attractive, quite good looking lady who's got a twin brother who looks, just like her.
it's pretty much her with a mustache.
I thought that when I saw it.
Yeah.
And she couldn't just be happy with having sex with herself, so she wanted to have sex with him. And I'm assuming other family members that she's got at her house.
Yeah, they do nickname like all the cousins and
Yeah.
close relatives, and they're like, well, if we can't have incest here,
No.
we'll go to America.
We'll go to the New World. And so that's where they go, and that's where they settle. And then it jumps to, I'm assuming,
Actually,
1997.
I say that, but I think it's in Canada. Because I think it's a Canadian island that they're on. That's where it's filmed.
Right, okay, yeah. I mean, blame Canada, I suppose,
With the passage of time, the doors closed to outsiders, and finally the Van Damme family disappeared entirely from view.
But then you cut to John Strauss, Roy Dupuis, standing on his boat, looking, white. Kind of vampiristic, actually, with the sunglasses and the clothes. I was like, oh, it could be like a whole vampire backstory here. No, it's not. It's not even really that good.
Especially with blood being basically in both titles.
Yeah.
Yeah, but he starts to have an attack of some kind of seizure. He starts dribbling blood. And I mean, this is this situation where they get the medicine and, oh, it's kicked over into the water.
Yeah.
And she's like, the medicine. And the dock worker's like, yeah, I ain't getting in there. It's gone, lady.
It's gone.
So it's then a bit of a desperate rush to get him to the doctors somewhere on the island.
Like, I was getting really confused at first because he kept having these seizures and flashing or something. I'm like, what the fuck is that? And obviously you can tell by the quality of the film that we're using for the review, this hasn't had a 4K restoration.
It never went beyond VHS. Maybe I think DVD. It had a DVD.
Yeah. But I was like really like closing my eyes, like, what the fuck is that? You know. And we're starting to get information as well that you've got Birdie Gordon, who is like a hotel owner / funeral parlor owner on the island.
That was the first time I laughed in the film when you see the sign outside. It just says hotel, funeral director, or funeral parlor.
Yeah.
It's just like, what a business. And then, because we also get the first kind of hints that she is... well, a bit of a bitch, really. Because she's like, oh, new customers. I hope they check into the hotel and into the graveyard.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, damn.
But she's also been hinted at, like, she likes to cut corners and save money because, like, she's in charge of, you know, digging up and burying all the people that die on the island. But some government officials have realized that something's up. So they're exhuming all of the bodies
and burying them on the mainland.
And burying them on the mainland. And so she's not happy about that because she's losing business. And this is where we start to also find out that people's bodies are literally going missing from the coffins. I was really shocked at first as well that actually, like, it was like a full female cast. And it only gets dropped hintly that all the men on the island are off on a fishing fleet trip.
Right?
all but one person, like it's Birdie's husband, isn't it? He's like,
that's it, yeah.
Between him, John, and Dr. Marlowe, there's no other men on the island.
Aren't there any men on the island? Oh, they're all out with the fishing fleet, except for my dad, Hank, because he helps my mother.
Yeah, they're out fishing forever.
Yeah. Yeah. And so they take John to Dr. Marlowe, and it's Rutger Hauer. And it turns out that he lives on the other side of the island. He turned up like 2 months before to find another doctor called Dr. Peterson, who's gone missing at this point. We don't really find him or find out what happened to him. He
was either eaten by the busy little creatures underground, or he had passed away and for a reason never really checked out.
And was buried by Birdie. But I did love the fact that when they turned up, like, Marlowe is, like, Rutger Hauer is acting drunk.
Yeah, he looks disheveled. I mean, he kind of looks worse than John from the get-go.
Yeah.
But we do get more of his backstory later on where he found out that he used to work over in Africa, but he had, like, one drink, and so they got rid of him, and now somehow he's ended up here.
Well, that's it. He says as well that they were trying to get rid of him for a long time because, obviously, he was so good at his job and people loved him. They made out he was an alcoholic and he had one drink, and that they absolutely fired him, and so now he is drinking lots. And I'm sat there, I'm like, wow, Rutger Hauer has just literally set up the fucking whole backstory of this entire movie. I just want to follow him.
Yeah, the film really should have just starred him. But yeah, so Kathleen's like, I need this medicine. He's like, well, I have it. It could kill him. She's like, I'm a nurse. Give it to me. I'll do it because you're flapping around and taking too long.
Yeah.
And they managed to calm him from having his seizures and relax him.
Yeah. But John's got these cravings and he's recognizing parts on the island. And as the story unfolds, it turns out that he was born on the island as a baby. And then they took him away and sent him to France, where he was raised in like a rich kind of elite school with a trust behind him as well. But he's got this blood disease, and you can tell by his eyes that like there's something up. And so the mystery is about him uncovering
his disease, his
history. But we've already been told the history at the start of the movie, that you're the descendant of this incestuous family
of
that
100 years of inbreeding. Like, we know. But it's the mystery. We've got to follow the characters as they find out what's going on.
Yeah.
But we do get those moments where he's just like, I'm hungry. And he shoves a whole sandwich into his face. And spits it out. And he's like, no, that wasn't my craving.
Yeah.
And then later on, he does attempt to rape his wife.
Yeah.
Forcefully.
Yeah.
But then, of course, he's like, he apologizes. He's sorry. He's like, I've got these cravings. I guess it wasn't that either. I don't know. So, like, the film wants you to feel sorry for him. But after that moment, you're like, just go away.
I tried to get behind some of these characters. Like, I wanted some. The only character I could get behind was Marlowe, and that's because I like Rutger Hauer.
Yeah, of course.
You know?
But I also liked the daughter of the only guy on the film.
Alice Gordon.
And she seems really nice and polite. She's happy to give the keys to the boat so they can nip around to the doctors and back in no time. She's the one we always see doing the work. Like, I think it's her stepmother who's always bitching at her and yelling at her to do stuff.
No,
Get
I
here,
think
do
that
that.
they're actually related because it's funny because she thinks her mum's gonna steal this really, really nice necklace off of this woman. The woman dying. I'm sorry to tangent, but the woman dying threw me like a fucking curveball.
Shame! Hey, Mrs. Shame!
You know, you've got all the women on the island digging up these coffins, and you've got this one woman who's there, and she notices that there's scratches on the coffin. And as she gets closer, the lid slightly moves. She freaks out, and then she's dead on the floor.
Yeah, I was like, what the hell happened there?
Like,
Did they stab her?
Yeah.
Did they inject her?
Are
Are these creatures highly venomous or poisonous?
Did she just see it and get so shocked she had a heart attack?
Right.
Because then Birdie's just like, okay, now we've got to deal with this body and we've got to bury her, and we're not even going to wait for the husband to come back. We need to get rid of it now. Oh, the husband wants her to be buried with this necklace, which I was like, well, where's the husband?
Fishing.
You've got the necklace from it. And so Birdie's just like, oh, it's a shame. It's really expensive. And the dad and Alice are both convinced that Birdie, mum, is going to steal the necklace. But it actually then turns out that Alice is going to try to steal the necklace because she tries to go to the body at night time.
Well, yeah, she has the conversation with her dad. She's just like, look, can we just take this and leave mum and leave this island?
Yeah.
The dad's like, no, I can't leave mum.
Yeah, he was a good guy.
So she's like, well, all right, I'll go do it myself.
Yeah.
And she goes out there, she's got the body, she takes the necklace, and then, oh no, something pulls the body from beneath her into the ground.
Yeah.
And in her panic to try to escape, she gets hooked into the back of her calves.
Yeah.
And pulled down into the ground. And I was like, oh, that was going to be it.
That was pretty harsh.
But then we get the tunnel shot of her being dragged away. And I was like, oh, I really cared for you, despite the fact that you were robbing from the dead.
Yeah.
Now, granted, you needed to get away from your horrible mother, and this was your only way out that you could see.
Only.
Well, I mean...
She could have gone on a boat at any point and
yeah,
just
but it
gone
didn't
and
look
gone
like
to
she
the main line.
was... At least she would have had some spending money, you know?
Yeah, that's right.
And so, yeah, I was quite sad to see her go.
Yeah, and then mum goes to the coffin the next day because she's going to go steal the necklace and realizes that actually Alice is there because the truck's there, the ladder's there. She's really annoyed that Alice is going to attempt to do this. And then she hears something and something attacks her and drags her down into the pit.
Yeah, it kind of cuts there, doesn't it? She just sees something and it cuts away. So I was like, okay.
And that was partly where I was just like, look, I know this is low budget, but you're not giving me enough. Like, I don't care about John. I don't care about his blood disease. I already know that he's part of this incestuous family. I need to see some of the creatures. And so there is one character who happens to come across one at the dock. She's going into like these pots that have got worms in, and she opens up one, and you kind of see the creature for a moment, but he gets a sheet dropped on his head, then he gets a net dropped on him. He can't see where the fuck he's going. He goes over the ledge into the water where Alice's dad is playing with his boat, and it happens to get ripped up by the propeller of the boat.
This is how you completely remove any threat
Yeah.
of your monster in the film.
Yeah.
When they are that useless.
Yeah.
When they are that imbecilic. I mean, granted, we find out later that they don't have any legs, and I mean, they are incestually inbred.
They're blind in the light as well.
Exactly, yeah, but still, you're just like, well, that's not very terrifying anymore, because we'd had scenes earlier, we've had the flashbacks or the dreams or the hallucinations of John. We had the moment where the kids came down into the funeral parlor and like the little girl
Something
could
was
hear
there.
something behind the grate. So you're just like, okay, so it's building up, and we're hiding the creature for now. But then when that one gets eaten up by the boat, you're like, it's over. The film's over. I'm not scared anymore.
No. I mean, it did lead to what was one of my favourite moments. I think it's really my only favourite moment of the movie, where Alice's dad takes the body to Dr. Marlowe so that he can have a look at it. And Dr. Marlowe had already been looking at John's blood, and so he found some irregularities in it. And then when he gets this creature's body, he takes a blood sample from that and realizes they've got the same irregularities, so they must be related. But it was just the way, like the effect of the creature was kind of cool. I mean, it's not like it's Rob Bottin or anything like that, you know. It's not fucking Jordan Peele doing something amazing. It's literally like they've thrown together this kind of weird dwarf-like, no-legged feet thing, which has got no arms or legs anymore because it's been propelled. But Dr. Marlowe's just like, well, it's got a fully functioning penis and what looks to be a fully functioning vagina. So these things are like hermaphrodites. They can fuck themselves. I'm like, okay, that's just weird.
Yeah, well,
you know?
Just the beginning of the weirdness, I suppose, really. Because at this point, John and Kathleen have gone to the Van Damme estate that was burnt down to try to get some answers. I think they heard tell that there was a nurse there, maybe.
Yes,
still.
there was the old nurse, yeah.
And they find this old lady with a rifle in a wheelchair. And she's like, oh, I recognize you, boy. Come here. Let me tell you about those scratches. Show me your chest.
Yeah, she seems so warm and welcoming. And then the moment she goes, have you got cravings? And he's like, yes. She's like, you need to get out.
Yeah, threatening them with the rifle. Like, get out.
Like, oh, that's a switch.
Yeah. And so, yeah, John and Kathleen bugger off.
Yeah.
But they only get so far. And then he's like, wait a minute. The fire happened 75 years ago. I'm not 75 years old. Wait a minute. And then he goes right back to her and he's like, I want answers. Knocks the rifle out of her hands. And she's like, all right, I'll tell you.
Some Van Dams escaped into the tunnels below this island.
They're still alive.
The Van Damme family had moved into the home and they'd obviously had incestuous sex for God knows how long. But John was the first baby to be born without any mutations.
Other than the eyes.
The eyes. And so the creatures were a bit freaked out, but the islanders kind of weren't. And the nurse wanted to protect him, because the islanders realized something was freaky was going on, so they set fire to the house and tried to destroy the Van Dams and their lineage and all that. But they sent John to France to grow up, and then they used what they could salvage from the house to sell to give him some money for his trust so that he could come back. And I'm sat there like, so you care for him or you don't care? Because then one of the little midget dwarf things turns up and stabs the nurse and fucks off.
Yeah. It's our first real, I guess, like, image of it. I mean, I was slightly startled at first when it first appeared, because it's sort of hanging in the doorway.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, well, what was that?
Yeah.
And then it's, I mean, it was comical for me, but the old lady's just like, get the light, open the curtains. And she starts wheeling away and she falls over.
She just fell out.
And I was like, anybody gonna help her?
No.
And then somehow the creature gets to her and stabs her a fair few times until the light beam catches it, and then it wanders off.
Yeah. The film tried to make out that when these things moved with their knives, they were deadly.
Yeah.
And I'm like, it's half my size. I could kick it in the face. How am I supposed? We're seeing the same group of kids that we'd seen at the beginning of the movie are now playing hide and seek at the cemetery, and they get the girl to chase them, and she happens to climb onto a pile of mud and gets pulled down into the ground. And so the children then alert a couple of adults, who then come up to have a look, realize there's something weird going on. So they go and contact Dr. Marlowe, and they're explaining to him that he should go down into the pit. And this is where, for me, the movie went, Rutger Hauer is the main guy. And I'm like, thank you.
Right.
Because the Strausses are fucking useless. You know, Kathleen had gone to Marlowe before he'd found the tunnels, and I had a talk with him. And I don't know how she came up with the idea, but something to do with, Dr. Marlowe had that baby in the formaldehyde in the jar.
That's right, yeah.
And so she took it to John, and was just like, oh, maybe you should eat this. It might make you feel better. How the fuck does that even come up in a conversation?
And he's like, you know what? I'll give it a try. I've still got the craving, so
Yeah.
yum.
And then he eats it and he gets a lot better and he's a bit more energetic, but she's kind of a little bit like, oh, maybe I don't want to kiss you anymore.
Well, he's trying to kiss himself in the mirror. I'm like, oh, it's a callback to the beginning now.
Yeah. But like I said, Dr. Marlowe had been called by the islanders.
That was the bit that made me laugh, is when they turn up at his place and I'm like, you've got an island full of fishermen and very capable people.
They're not back yet.
I was
Because there's a storm coming in.
But that's why I thought all the fishermen would have come back, because there's a storm.
No, I don't know. The movie just went, look, we don't need any male characters.
No, we just can't afford all these other extras.
So Marlowe climbs down into the pit. They give him a gun, they give him a light, and he's moving around, and he comes across Birdie's body, Alice's body, and the body of the little girl. And the creatures are hanging them upside down and slitting their wrists so they bleed to death. And then they're eating them, or eating the blood. Yeah.
So they don't need the formaldehyde, the body?
I suppose. But Marlowe's just like, well, fuck this, I'm out. He doesn't even bother to try to shoot or kill any of them. He just goes. And I love the bit, he just climbs out of the pit and they're like, what did you see? And he's like so shocked that he can't speak or form his words. And then he gets the drink from Alice's dad and has a quick sip and then goes, I've got some bad news for you.
Damn, yeah.
I'm like, fuck, yeah, you're about to tell this guy that his whole family is dead and being eaten by mutants underneath their island.
Poor bugger.
Yeah.
Still feel sorry for Alice.
But all of the little creatures are now coming to the surface because Marlowe explains that
shifting all of the corpses out of the burial plot has resulted in them now looking for fresh food because they can't eat the dead anymore.
Yeah.
And so he also knows that they don't like the light. So he's like, everyone, to the lighthouse.
I'm like, why?
Because it's a lighthouse.
Yeah, I get that. I get it. But it just seemed like a silly plot point to get everybody at this lighthouse.
Because it's panic. We've got the whole community up in arms. Like, grab your torches, grab your lanterns.
Well, not everybody's fucking panicking. This is there was this one part in the movie I was just like, oh, fuck this movie, I'm done. Pardon my French. Everybody on the island is heading to the lighthouse to avoid these mutant midgets, dwarfs, small people. I don't know what.
I just call them bleeders.
Yeah, let's just call them bleeders. Getting away from the bleeders. But Kathleen and John stop to get some stuff and they decide they're going to have sex.
Perfect time in the middle of the storm, in the middle of a panic.
And it's not even like a brief sex sequence. Like you could have stopped at any point. I sat there for an incredibly long, awkward time while these two people had sex. And I didn't want to be there.
No.
I wanted to be in the lighthouse with Marlowe, Dr. fucking Rutger Hauer, and them all getting together. But what makes it worse is them at the lighthouse, they're all up the top. They're like, oh, let's get the power on. We've got the top of the lighthouse. We've got this perfect vantage point to look down to see these mutant bleeders coming across open ground.
I don't think we've got enough, though. I think we need to send one person out there.
And
also to not look out, but to look back at the lighthouse.
And be completely distracted and then get pulled down and stabbed. And she's carrying an M16.
She's going to kill them all.
Everybody up the top of the lighthouse have shotguns. That obviously doesn't have the range and scatters. I am not gun fucking nut or enthusiast, but I'm pretty sure that's how a shotgun would not work from that distance and kill so well.
I hated it.
I couldn't stand it either.
I was like, this is the only way the bleeders are going to get kills, is if people are just not looking.
Yeah.
And that is it.
That was it. At one point as well, I think John and Kathleen get to the lighthouse.
Yeah.
The floor gives way.
Don't forget the power goes out as well, so all the lights go out.
That's right. The power goes out because they're animals. Like, how can they cut their power, man? And the floor gives way and a couple of islanders and a little boy fall down into the bottom. Kathleen's one of them.
Yeah.
And John's just like, I've got to go down and I've got to rescue her. And I'm like, okay, this is the big moment where he becomes the hero. Nope. John jumps down there, meets his offspring, his family members.
Yeah.
And then he's like, I can't leave. I need to stay here.
I am home now.
And Kathleen's like, no, you've got to come with me. I'm pregnant. I'm carrying your baby. I'm like, well, I'm really hoping there's not a sequel.
That is sequel bait, right?
Yeah. And Dr. Marlowe's like, no, we've got to go. And he's trying to pull her out. And the film had made it obvious a while ago about earthquakes happening, I'm assuming from the tunneling. And one of these earthquakes causes a tunnel cave in. But we'd already seen, John's got the little boy. He's found the little boy. And instead of letting them take the body of the little boy, he slices his wrist and they all feed off of it.
Yeah, he's like,
so I'm like, fuck you, John.
Right? What an asshole.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then Rutger Hauer and Kathleen are back outside, and it's like, well, that's all dealt with now.
Yeah. Like,
good luck with the baby. Bye.
yeah, they're like, oh, that was a bit weird. Like, there's no
resolution.
There's no resolution. There's no police. There's no army. Like, it's like we don't even know if the fishermen come back.
Yeah, I mean, I had the feeling like everyone was now just going to leave the island and just quarantine it.
Yeah.
Nothing.
But it's okay. John survived the cave in because he happens to come across. I'm assuming it's the actress who was playing Eva at the beginning.
Probably, yeah.
She's just got a bit more weight on her because John, obviously, much like the twins, Eva and her brother at the start of the movie, John's got a twin. So I'm assuming that his twin now is going to give birth to more, and they're just going to keep fucking.
What an ending.
Do you know, there was another horror movie that I didn't like that had cousin fucking in it as well.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I'm not going to bring it up.
Well, that's a switch. Ian, what were your favourite scenes from Hemoglobin? Hemoglobin.
I really only liked one sequence, and like I said, it was Dr. Marlowe,
The autopsy,
doing his autopsy. Like Rutger Hauer can take so much from nothing and make you listen and make you understand the way he's describing the body parts and how it's human and how the blood works and things like that. I'm like, oh my God, the science behind this is great. The mystery is awesome. And that's all we get. Like, nothing. I don't care about John or his backstory or if he's from Holland or France or wherever. You know, I don't even like the little creatures. Like the dwarf things from Phantasm with the cloaks were better, and I saw less of them. I saw more of these things, and like that killing of the M16 woman. I mean, was it Laura, I think her name was, who didn't speak?
Hasn't spoken since she was 8 years old.
Yeah, she saw something
Yeah.
that scared the crap out of her. Now she drops down and she stabs one at the end, and she says the sweary line, and she's immediately killed.
No fucking way!
Oh, wow, what a character arc.
So, that's it. Rutger Hauer, autopsy sequence.
Yeah. Well, before I get to my favourite scenes, Ian.
Yep.
There's been another fuck up.
Oh, shit.
During the sequence where the girl's being dragged down into the dirt, you notice there's one kid that comes over, he's wearing a green hat.
Yeah.
And gets blown away in the wind. In the very next shot, it's right back on his head again. It's like, wait a minute.
It's only a small island, mate. You didn't have to go far.
Right, yeah. But I guess like the biggest cock up in the whole film is right at the very beginning.
Right.
When the narrator explains to us that the King of Holland outlawed incest in like 1652. Mm-hmm. Holland didn't have a king during that period. So I'm like, who were they listening to? Like, anyway, there are a few memorable moments in the film, and absolutely right. The autopsy sequence is quite fun because we've got some nice, gory something on the table to kind of have Rutger Hauer play with. And
yeah.
He looks invested in what he's doing as he's taking out a bit of stomach here and taking some samples there, looking under the microscope and going, oh, look, these cells are identical to these cells that are in the baby jar, and these cells are identical to the ones that of John's. So, might be a connection here.
It might be.
Yeah. I did also laugh at the hotel funeral parlor sign outside. I was like, what a business. Like, damn. And like the other sequence that made me laugh was the bleeder on the boat pier going off the side into the water and getting all minced up. Daft. The creature in the doorway that attacks the old lady at the old Van Damme estate. That was kind of fun. Alice's death, yeah, that was gripping. I felt sorry for her. She was the only character in the film I really felt sorry for.
Yeah.
And then seeing her body strung up at the end, I was like, oh, that's a shame. And I think the best performance in the film, other than Rutger Hauer, will go to the old lady as well in the wheelchair.
Yeah.
She was cryptic. She was funny. She was weird and strange.
She was overly confident. I was just like, I'm really feeling this character from you.
She's the one giving it all this backstory and exposition, so it needed to be delivered well, and I think she did a good job. So, Iain, do you recommend Bleeders?
Not a fucking chance. I wish I could, and I feel like I'm dishonoring the memory of Rutger Hauer if I don't fucking say that you should watch it for him. But I think it's not enough. It really is not enough. I mean, the movie's only like an hour and 30 minutes, and it feels so much longer because everything else drags. There's like a halfway point where things start to pick up, but at that point you're like, what's going on? You know, how long have these things been digging underneath the island? How many bodies have they eaten? How come nobody else has noticed any of these things? What the hell is just going on at any point? I think the script is really bad. The acting wasn't terrible, but it was borderline, like almost there. Like one take and done. Let's move on to the next section. Like I said, Dr. Marlowe was probably the best character. The creature effects are kind of okay, but the camera doesn't linger on them long enough. And if it did, it would probably just ruin everything. So, no, don't watch it.
Yeah, I'm in the same boat, Ian. This is a big no from me. I'm not going to be recommending Hemoglobin. This is a bad B-movie that offers very little to entertain. And being a slow burn mystery horror where all the exciting stuff happens at the end, you'll be asleep or have already turned this off before then. The acting, I felt, isn't half bad, and Rutger Hauer certainly makes this just about watchable, and probably should have been the lead character as the island's new doctor investigating the incestual Van Damme bleeders. The effects of the monsters were cheap, unthreatening, and comical to the point of evoking sympathy, not terror. The very few gory moments were alright, but nothing special or memorable. The film, I'd say, though, is shot well. It's got lots of great island shots. It sets the mood nicely with some good lighting. It was a real highlight of the film for me. The music, it was okay. It had some strange electronic guitar riffs here and there, but it worked well to build the tension. So yeah, I'm going to say it's not utter rubbish. It's just not worth your time unless you really love low-grade B-horror. And who doesn't love Rutger Hauer? But still, no from me. It's in the blood. Thanks for watching Off the Shelf Reviews.
You've taken away their food supply. Now, they're desperate, they're mad, and they're very hungry. They're coming after us.